Do you guys want to see me do some blending and do a makeover with some light springy pastel colors? If you do, stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Crys'Dawna. If you are new here, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am a furniture artist and every week I put out a video painting furniture, showing you different artistic finishes, things like that. So this week I'm going to be working on a waterfall dresser, chest of drawers, whatever you want to call it. This is a custom for my client and we are going to be doing a pastel, I want to say sherbet, but I swear everything I do, I say sherbet, or we say sherbet. So I am going to be doing a pastel blend on here and making it really cute, like a pastel boho. So if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell and you'll get all the latest videos that I put out. Everything I use will always be in the description below, so make sure you check out the description. If you have questions about what I used, click on those links. It takes you right to where you need to be to get what you to get the stuff, to recreate it, or whatever you want to do. So I do want to go over just a few things about the waterfall kind of furniture first. I just wanted to get it out of the way. I feel like waterfall furniture is one that I get the pushback the most from people when they say, how come you're painting that? That's a beautiful antique, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so waterfall furniture came about during the Great Depression. And it wasn't the first kind of furniture to be used with plywood. But, so in the early 1900s, Teddy Roosevelt was part of the conservation movement, and that was to save more of the trees and hardwood trees and save more of the forests. You know, you've got Crater Lake in Oregon, places like that. There's a whole list, but of places to conserve them, right? And so before that, people were using hardwood, real wood for their furniture. But in the early 1900s, people started using plywood because it was a better alternative. It was conserving more. It was conserving trees more. And so they started using plywood and using veneer over it. Now, people used to hand do this stuff. They used to hand do things 90 degrees. They used to hand do this, you know, round, whatever, but it was expensive and it was super time consuming. So fast forward to the Great Depression in the 1930s, and people still wanted to feel like they had something that was theirs. So they call this waterfall furniture or newlywed furniture. It's part of the Art Deco movement. It is inspired by what was going on in France, Austria, Germany at that time, but it is not high quality. Excuse me. So I think what happens is, let me take you back. You've got a couple from the 1930s. They just get married, hence newlywed furniture. They can buy a whole bedroom set for $20 to $40. And it's not very expensive. Probably was a pretty penny back then because it was the Great Depression. But they kept this furniture because it was nostalgic. So even when we started getting out of the Great Depression and people, you know, the economy was booming again, the Great Depression, the things that they had, AKA the waterfall furniture bedroom sets, they kept because it had a certain value to it. And I think a lot of people now, you know, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you have grandparents, great-grandparents, parents that had these sets that cherished them. So when we were growing up, we saw these sets that people cherished and we assumed that it was something amazing, which it is, don't get me wrong. But waterfall furniture in itself, with all the nostalgic value and sentimental value taken away from it, is not great. It was a cheap alternative to give people a nice looking stuff when we had no money. When the United States had no money, that was the alternative. It is plywood with veneer, and this veneer, it was called, so the way that this, let's go over here. The style of this veneer is called bookending. So you see this a lot in waterfall furniture. It's very common in waterfall furniture. And so a lot of people say, oh, the veneer is so beautiful, you're gonna ruin it, yada, yada, yada. But this is called bookending, is what this furniture or this veneer type is called. But this was not made to last. They didn't intend for this to last forever because it's really not quality. So it's very common to see chipped veneer on this. It's very common to see this part right here failing because it is, you know, it's waterfall. And this was also one of the first types of furniture to be mass produced because it would be so expensive and take so much time for someone to actually do all this plywood by hand. So before the Great Depression and before they really started mass producing pieces like this, people would boast about how they made their furniture and 11 layers later of veneer or plywood or whatever. That was something that they created. But fast forward, like I said, these pieces, 1930s and above, it's really not worth much. I think I get pushback because of that nostalgic value that we have been passed on from our parents, grandparents, what have you. Now, even if you took this furniture into an antique appraiser, which in order for it to be an antique, it has to be 100 years old or more. So, you know, we're creeping on that time. Maybe something was made in the 20s, but we are creeping on the 100-year mark. But just because something's an antique doesn't mean that it has actual value. And right now, there's a great antique dealer specialist that I know, that I follow, and he estimates that a bedroom suite that your grandparents would have bought for the $20 to $40 back in the 30s would go for, maybe in pristine condition, perfect with everything in it, and it's maybe not a super common one, $800 to $900. I mean, if you bought it for $20 and you flip it for $800 to $900, that's pretty good. But we're talking, you have to find someone to find the whole entire thing. Whereas you can paint a piece of furniture and you can turn it just one piece or two pieces in that set for that. So again, understand that, and I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I just wanted to give you guys a history lesson about this furniture, that really the value that we see in it today is more of a nostalgic value, more of a, oh my gosh, my grandparents had that set, it was beautiful, it's an antique, it's worth so much. But it's really not. It is one of the worst made furnitures in history. It is not high quality. There's not a frame. A lot of furniture has frames. These do not have frames. Again, they're highly prone to chipping, peeling. It's scratched off. This one's not too bad, but we will be doing some fixes to it. So, you know, just understand. And again, I've always told you guys this, do your research on the things that you're painting first. So if you think it's a high-end antique, find someone and ask. And if you think you can get more for it, then by all means, sell it. But if you can't, then paint it. I mean, why not? And remember that things are only worth what someone will pay for them. So even if this waterfall furniture was worth $300, which it's not, because it's in pretty rough shape. Let's just say it was pristine and it was worth $300. I don't know if many people would pay $300 for it. Maybe they would. I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyways, that was a little bit about the waterfall furniture, the newlywed furniture. And just remember, today is your history lesson. I'm going to get off my soapbox. We are going to prep this piece. I'm going to start with the inside, clean it. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own your own personal scented Big Mama's butter. And we're going to do, again, some blending, some cloudy blending, some sherbet pastel blending, and we're going to make this a boho piece. So you guys stay tuned and we are going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the hardware. We don't want to keep this, and we're going to plug the holes. I'll show you later a couple tips that one of my friends taught me, but for right now, we're going to remove the hardware and we are going to clean this piece really well. So I took all the drawers out and I'm going to clean the inside really well. I also clean the inside of the drawers because I'm going to show you how to make your own scent with the Big Mama's butter. They come with an unscented, and I wanted the gingerbread smell. I like sweet gingerbread, pumpkin-y type smells, so I'm going to show you how to do that after we're done cleaning here. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is do a double broiler method. And what I mean by that is you're going to take a saucepan and you're going to boil the water and you're going to put that unscented Big Mama's butter in there. Right now it is a solid, okay? So you're going to set it in there and you're going to allow it to start melting. And you're going to stir it a little bit at a time while it's melting. I have an induction stovetop, so mine works pretty fast. So I'm just stirring, and then I'm taking my gingerbread oil, that scented oil. You can use an essential oil, you can use whatever flavor oil, I say flavor, whatever scent you want. I don't like saying flavor because you can't eat this. Do not microwave this, okay? So you have to do it this way, or you can set it out in the sun if you want to melt it, whatever you want, but this is a metal tin, so you're not gonna wanna microwave it. Do not scoop it out in a glass thing and try to microwave it. Just do it this way. And then you're going to add as much oil, scented oil, as you want. So if you want it just a lighter smell, don't put as much in there. If you want it more strong, put it in there. And then you're going to continue to stir it. I take it out of here once it's completely liquefied and I'm stirring it, and I just set it on a cooling rack and I allow it to solidify like that. It may take a few hours, but it will eventually solidify again and you can start using it. And then you have your gingerbread smell. So good. After you've applied your Big Mama's butter in your drawers and anywhere else that you're using it, you want to make sure you wipe it away with a microfiber cloth or a paper towel, the excess off. Otherwise, it will never fully soak in and it'll just sit there. So you want to make sure you wipe off all the excess right away. I'm going to put it on the drawer slides as well. These are wooden drawer slides, and this is going to allow it to come in and out a lot easier. So that's a tip for you. If you've got some wooden drawer slides, go ahead and put it on there and it'll make it easier. So now I'm going back and I'm cleaning the outside of the piece because I have taken care of the inside. I've cleaned it, I have conditioned it. I have to still clean the outside of the piece. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning the outside of it, and I'm going to plug those hardware holes and fix some of that chipped veneer with my Belle Dixie mud. But I have to make sure that the surface is nice and clean first. Okay, so I cannot take credit for what I'm about to do. I'm going to take the mud and I'm going to put it in a little Ziploc bag. This is something my friend Amy from AJ Vintage Designs showed me. You're basically using this as a piping bag to go into those holes, those hardware holes that you want to fill. So close it up, push it to the corner, and then you're going to cut the corner just a little bit to create a hole so that it can come out of there. And what I like to do when I'm filling in hardware holes is I like to tape the back of it so that it has somewhere to stop. But what you're going to do is you're going to tape the back of it, or you can hold your finger there, and then you're going to take that little bag and you're going to stick where you cut the hole into that existing hardware hole, and you're going to just gently push into there, and that's going to fill that entire hole up, and then you can just kind of wipe it back a little bit, and you're going to allow that to dry. And then you'll come back and you'll do another layer of it because it does shrink a little bit. But this is such an easy hack. So make sure you guys go check out Amy because this was really helpful. Once everything's dry, I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper or one of my rad pads and I'm going to sand everything off. And then I'm going to do another layer just because it does shrink. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to take my B.O.S. So this is the gray B.O.S. They have white and they have clear, but what this does is it acts as a blocking primer so that I don't have any tannins come through. I am going to be using some pastel colors and I do not want any bleed through or tannins to come through. So this is a thing that I do. I don't know if I'm going to have bleed through. There was a little bit when I was using the white wood filler. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on here because I do not want to have to fix anything later. So my rule of thumb is if I'm using any light colors that could possibly show tannins, I always use a blocking primer. It's better safe than sorry, and I don't want to have to go back and fix things. So you're going to put 2 coats of it on here, and you're going to allow it to dry for 24 hours before you go in with your paint. Now, this piece is a custom, but it is inspired by my girlfriend's piece. Her name is Leah. So I've had inspiration from 2 friends today. Leah Noel Design Co. is one of my friends, and she is a furniture artist. And she did this piece right here, and my client sent it to me. And so this piece is very loosely based off of her piece because hers is super amazing and I love it. But this is kind of where the inspiration came from. So you can get inspiration from stuff and it doesn't have to always be exact. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the Rebel Yellow and I'm putting it in random places. What I'm doing is I'm just placing my base coat and I'm placing the colors. I am going to place the yellow next to the pink because if those 2 come together, then it'll make an orange. And then I'm going to put the blueberry. So I'm using Rebel Yellow, Soft Pink, Blueberry, and Mint Julep. So right here, I'm going in with the soft pink and I'm just kind of butting it up against the Rebel Yellow. And then I'll go in next with the blueberry and I'll butt that up against areas. And then there will be a few places left for the Mint Julep and I'll go in with that. And then I'm going to start blending them. The reason why I'm putting the yellow and the pink next to each other is because yellow and pink make orange. And then the blueberry I put next to the Rebel Yellow because blue and yellow make green, and then blue and pink make purple. And so I'm trying to keep these colors together so that way if they do mix, they make a pretty color and they don't just muddy up. So you can see the green, and there's not tons of it on here, but I'm going to start blending. First thing I'm going to do when I start blending is I mist the piece with my mister bottle. I'm going to be using the Best Dang brushes to blend with this piece. It's a mix of natural and synthetic bristles. And so I'm going over it with the Mint Julep right there. And now I'm going to go over the Rebel Yellow. And those will be my second coats of these colors, and I'm going to start mixing them in. So I use a circular motion because this brush does really well with a more cloudy blend, and that's kind of what I'm going for here is a more cloudy blend. So you can go in circles, you want to still do your horizontal, vertical, but make sure because there's so many bristles that you use a very light hand when you're using this brush, okay? So it's very great for cloudy blends and doing circles, but also just make sure you're still keeping a light hand when you're doing this. Also, I do not use a clean, dry, neutral brush when I do this blend because I'm doing a cloudy blend. I'm not super concerned with it being perfect, and with the synthetic brushes, my blends are much more smooth and the transitions you can't see them as much, but with a cloudy blend you can see them a little bit more. So I added a little Rebel Yellow. I'm going to go in with the soft pink and I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing. Make sure that the surface is misted so that it doesn't dry up. I'm going to put my soft pink in here and I'm just going to do circular motions back and forth to start blending these colors. These colors all blend really, really nicely together. And so that's what you want to do with this brush is you want to make sure that the area is misted. You want to do circles to get that cloudy. Think about a cloud, okay? So that's what it's going to look like. This brush is more for an artistic blend, more for a cloudy blend. I do this on the entire piece. This piece is pretty flat. So on the sides, the top, the front, I do it. So now I'm taking my Surf Prep 3x4 electric ray. I'm taking a fine 10mm pad and I'm going to distress this piece. I want to age this piece, so I'm going to distress all over, and I'm going to go on the drawer fronts as well, just to kind of smooth everything out. Also distress it and just smooth everything so that I have a nice smooth surface. And then I'm going to go in with the Damask Stencil by Dixie Belle, and you saw that on Leah's piece, and I'm going to do kind of a distressed faded type look. So I've taped it on the front of here, and I'm just going to go in with sandbar, and I'm just going to dab in certain areas. I'm going to make it a little bit heavier in certain areas, a little bit lighter in certain areas, so that way I don't want this to be perfect. I want it to look almost faded or like it's distressed over time. This front is really flat, so I have to keep making sure that I have the drawers pulled out. But I'm going to move around on this piece. I'm going to go on the side, the top, the front, and I'm going to do this technique on the entire piece. So this piece is a little too pastel-y for me, so I'm taking the Voodoo Gel Stain and Tobacco Road. I'm going to pour a little bit into a mixing cup, and I'm going to add some water, and what I'm doing is making almost a glaze, aka wash with it, so that I can deepen the colors on here, kind of age it a little bit. That way it is less childlike, and I can kind of just have it all be cohesive, look like it's a little bit aged. Go with the distress, go with that stencil that looks a little distressed, a little faded. I'm going to take my mix and I'm going to wipe across the piece, and you'll see how it kind of deepens those colors on there. And I show you here, after I'm done putting this on the drawer front, I show you the difference between the bottom drawer and the middle drawer. But I'm just kind of going across the piece. I don't want it to be streaky, and so that's why I keep on going over it to make sure I get the streaks off, but it still has that color that's deepened. Okay, so you can see the difference here. The bottom drawer is a little bit darker than the top drawer, so it's not as pastel-y as it was, if that's even a word, pastel-y. I'm going to seal this entire thing. I put some wooden knobs on here, and I actually stained them with the Voodoo Gel Stain. But I'm going to seal this with the Easy Peasy Spray Wax, so you just spray it all over your entire piece, and then you rub it in with a rag or paper towel, and it is good to go. Okay everybody, so this piece is done. I hope you enjoyed that video. I know sometimes when I do videos, when I first start putting the colors on, you're like, what is she doing? Trust the process, just like you need to trust the process when you are doing it and you are creating. But this is what we came up with. It's really cool, pastel, boho-y. I hope my client likes it. If you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell so you get all the latest videos. Also, remember, everything I use is always in the description below. Oh, I don't know why I'm pointing behind me. It's in the description below. There's usually a see more tab or show more tab. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome week. Happy creating, and make sure you guys go check out my friends Leah and Amy so that you can get some more inspiration from them, because they make a lot of beautiful art. And thank you guys so much. Have an amazing day. Make sure you stay on because there's going to be some pretty staged pictures, and I did a little video. Also, if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook, I always put my staged pictures up there, so if the video goes too fast for you, you can always go check them out over there. All right guys, thank you so much and have an awesome week. Bye.
Think about me one more time before you go. I've been feeling this way for far too long.